When my boss, Jack, gave me a raise, I felt something stir inside me. I had always liked my job, but a raise had never been my goal. I just wanted to prove myself, to do my work well, without expecting too much recognition. But when Jack told me, amidst the late hours and exhaustion, that he was giving me a raise, something changed. I remember walking into his office. The room was lit with the usual bright overhead lights, casting a cold glow over everything. And Jack looked as he always did, focused and a little distant. But when his words hit me, my whole body seemed to stop. Somehow, I felt like it wasn't just about the raise. It was something deeper. "Did you say raise?" I asked, my voice a little uncertain, as if I hadn't quite heard him correctly. Sometimes you do everything right without expecting much in return, and when it comes, you're left a little confused. "Yeah," Jack replied, leaning back in his chair with that usual confident air. But there was something in his tone this time that felt different. "You've been putting in a lot of effort lately. You deserve it." I didn't know how to respond. There was a weight to the words he said. I had always respected Jack as my boss, but now I was hearing something more. Something that wasn't just about work. "Thank you," I finally said, but even as I said it, I wasn't sure what I was thanking him for. It wasn't just the money. It was the way he was looking at me, the way the atmosphere in the room had shifted. After that, everything felt a little off. It wasn't uncomfortable, but there was an unspoken tension hanging in the air. The way Jack and I interacted became different, more charged, though neither of us said anything about it directly. I wasn't sure what had changed, but I could feel it. There was more weight to our exchanges, more meaning in the smallest gestures. A few days later, I found myself alone in the break room, staring into my coffee cup, lost in thought. The sounds of the office, the soft hum of the air conditioning, and the distant whir of the copier felt muted, like I was in a world of my own. "Mind if I join you?" I looked up to see Jack standing in the doorway, his hands tucked into his pockets, looking more vulnerable than usual. He didn't enter right away, almost waiting for permission, like he wasn't sure if it was okay to cross that invisible line. "Sure," I said, gesturing to the seat across from me. "How's the day going?" "Busy." "Same as always," he replied, settling into the chair, but his eyes didn't leave mine. For a moment, neither of us spoke. There was a new heaviness to the silence, a tension neither of us was addressing. "You've been quiet lately," he said after a beat, studying me carefully. "I'm just thinking," I replied, trying to keep things light. But my mind was spinning. The weight of his gaze was too much. "About the raise?" he asked, his voice softening. I didn't know how to answer. Was it about the raise, or was it about something more? Something between us that neither of us had ever acknowledged. "I don't know," I said slowly. "It's just unexpected. I never really know how to react to things like that." Jack leaned forward, his eyes intense yet somehow gentle. "You earned it," he said. "You've been working harder than anyone here. And I think you deserve more than just a raise. You deserve to be seen." His words hit me harder than I expected. I had never thought of myself as someone who needed validation, but hearing Jack say it, I don't know, it made me feel something I hadn't expected. His respect, his admiration, suddenly, they felt like something more than just words from a boss. "Thank you," I murmured, though I wasn't sure I could accept all of it. Something shifted between us, something both beautiful and terrifying. The next few days passed in a blur. There was a quiet shift in our interactions. Jack's casual smiles seemed to carry more weight, and his words had a deeper resonance. We worked together, but something had been exposed. I found myself wondering if he felt it too, the subtle but undeniable pull between us. Then one afternoon, I found myself sitting alone at my desk, finishing up a project. The office was quieter than usual, just the soft hum of the air conditioning and the click of my keyboard filling the space. "Hey," came a familiar voice from behind me. I turned to see Jack standing at the edge of my desk, his posture relaxed, but there was something in his eyes that stopped me in my tracks. "You doing okay?" he asked, his tone soft, almost tender. I smiled, but it didn't feel like a real smile. "Yeah, just wrapping things up." "You've been working nonstop," he said, leaning slightly closer. "Maybe it's time for a break." I nodded, feeling the exhaustion settle in my bones. But there was something more in his words, something more than just concern for my well-being. "Jack," I started, my voice trailing off. "I don't know what's happening between us. It feels different, and I don't know how to handle it." He didn't say anything right away, but there was a deep understanding in his eyes. Finally, he spoke, his voice low. "I think maybe we've both been afraid of something, but I don't want to be afraid anymore. I want to be honest with you. About everything." I looked at him, really looked at him, and in that moment, something clicked inside me. All the hesitation, all the uncertainty, suddenly, it didn't seem so important. What mattered was what we were willing to risk, what we were ready to acknowledge. I think I'm afraid to," I admitted, my voice trembling slightly. "But maybe it's not the fear I thought it was." Jack reached out, gently touching my hand. The simple contact sent a shock through me, an electric current that made everything feel more real, more immediate. "Whatever comes next, we'll figure it out together. I don't want you to be scared of this. You're not alone." And in that moment, everything changed. The fear, the uncertainty, it all melted away, replaced by something stronger: trust, connection, and a willingness to move forward. We didn't have all the answers, but we didn't need them. What mattered was that we were facing the future together, without fear.